Oh yeah, oh, this came out really well. Look at that. This scanner. Finally figured out what was wrong with it. You ready for it? I feel really dumb admitting this, but the layout for it was absolutely breaking my brain. If you're here from part one, welcome. If you're not, then you have absolutely no idea what's happening. We're in the process of selling our family chalet, and I wanted to put together a photo book as a memento of the time that we spent there together. I also wanted to include some photos of the surrounding area as well, so that when we're a little older and quite a bit more forgetful, we can look back on it and still kind of remember what it was like to be there and remember the town that our chalet was in and kind of the good memories that we had there together as a family. If you want all the details, feel free to watch part one. I'll link to it up here and in the description below, and you can learn a bit more about not only the chalet itself, but the town that we were in. But anyway, the recap is I spent a week up there alone in June to just capture the chalet and its surrounding areas so that I could come back and turn it into a photo book to give to the family. I captured a mix of film and digital, which amounted to 636 digital photos, 8 rolls of film, and 1 hour and 46 minutes of footage. These counts don't include the hundreds of photos that I've taken on film over the past 5 years of owning the chalet as well. So there's quite a lot to go through to make this photo book a reality, which means the goal for this video is going through all of those assets together and turning it into a nice 8x10 photo book to give to people. But first things first, I need to get those 8 rolls of film developed. I'm about to go drop off the film that I shot while I was at the chalet to a local store here in Montreal called Studio Argentique. They're an awesome little independent store here in Montreal that deals primarily with film. I'm about to hop in the car and go do that now and take you along with, and then you guys can also see what the inside of the shop looks like. They also recently changed and have a bunch of photo books now as well. And knowing myself, I'll probably leave with at least 1 new roll of film to shoot in the future. So all right, let's go. And now montage because copyrighted music. It's really hard for me every time I go to not take a look at the photo books. I have to spend at least 5-10 minutes just walking around, seeing what I can find. And unfortunately, this time, something did catch my eye, and I ended up picking it up and heading out with it. Prendre ça, puis je vais aussi prendre un Harman Phoenix bleu puis rouge, s'il te plaît, en 120. I also can't help myself and always end up picking up extra film while I'm there too. Oui, toi aussi, merci. So stuff dropped off. It's going to take about 2 weeks to get it back. Not super surprising since film has taken off quite a bit in the last couple of years. And their photo book section is dangerous, for me especially, because I'm a sucker for a photo book. And I saw that they had this book here, and it really caught my eye. I love myself a big old photo book, especially of places that I've never been to and that seem to have quite cinematic frames. So I picked this up, and then I also picked up 2 more rolls of film. I had read online about the Harman Phoenix, and I was just super curious how they look. Now I'm on my way home, going to get the rest of the day started now that that's done. So onwards. All right, so I just got my film back from Studio Argentique. I'm excited to look over it. I haven't opened any of the canisters yet. I just made sure to ensure that what I dropped off was in here. I have some time this morning before we have to head out, so I think I'm gonna go over those now. I made the poor mistake of not checking if I still have enough archival sheets for the film. I have a shit ton of 35 archival preservers, but I have no 120 left. And I basically shot the entire thing in 120 except for 1 roll of 35. So that puts a little bit of a damper on my plans. So I think what I'm going to do is order some more print file 120 archival preservers first, then I'll get to it. Project is probably delayed for another couple days at least. Fun. This is what happens when you forget how to shoot film because it's been 2 years since you've actually done it and gotten it developed. So, all right, I'm gonna order some of those now and then talk to you when I get them, I guess. Instead of doing nothing while I wait for the 120 film preserves to come in, I figured I could at least chop up the roll of 35mm that I had shot and put it into one of the film preserves that I did have on hand. All right, so I just went through some old 120 sheets that I had from a couple of years ago. And I found 9 sheets of about 16 frames per sheet. So there's around 144 shots to go through here. Most of these were taken August 2021 and then February 2022. It's a mix of color and black and white. So there's quite a few things around the chalet and some other towns, not just Mansonville, that could be nice to pad out the book if necessary. Maybe scan these as contact sheets to start with, and then maybe go through and select which ones I'd actually like to use, and then we will take it from there. Yeah, so I spoke too soon. Scanner's not working, not sure what's happening. Could just be driver installation stuff. I have no idea. Unfortunately, I don't have time. I have to start getting ready for something else that's happening today. Yeah, so hands up in the air for now, and I'll try again later this week. This scanner. Finally figured out what was wrong with it. Turns out it was one very specific piece that was causing all of this headache. It wasn't until I was finally able to load up Epson Scan on my Mac laptop that it gave me a proper error message and told me, hey, this is what's happening. You ready for it? This white backing that goes on the top is used for the document scanning portion of the scanner. With that in, if you try and scan transparency mode, it errors out. Logical, I'll give them that. But in view scan, no errors, silver fast, no error. It doesn't actually communicate what its error state is. And I'm guessing that's probably just because, at least for view scan, it's a reverse engineered piece of software. Anyway, implementation details. But that just led to a nebulous scenario where I thought maybe the scanner was actually on its way out. But thankfully, that is not the case. So I can actually get started on rescanning old film and getting some stuff back into my desktop and get ready for actually triaging the stuff that I wanted to triage. Okay, so I finally got in my extra sheets of 120 film preserves. Plan is to chop up the film, put them in the preserves. I'm gonna get to that right now. My film storage process is pretty simple. On each sheet, I write the model of the camera that was used to shoot the roll, the date the film was scanned, and which sheet in the series this one is. After that, it's cutting the film to size and storing it. I'll take a cursory glance at each frame before cutting it and sliding it into the sheet. The next part of the process involves many hours of just staring at my scanning software Silverfast. It's a really uninteresting part of the process. I'm just sitting here watching a progress bar go and making sure that my settings stay the same between each roll of film that I scan. Once I got most of the photos into Capture One, I spent some time picking candidates for the book. After I found the ones that I thought I would want to use, I started going through the editing process, mostly cropping, color correction, and then grading the photos. Most of the edits were around making sure the elements I wanted to highlight in each photo really popped. When editing the film photos, I'd also have to go in and clean up some of the specks and dust from the scanning process. With my first pass of selections and edits done, I brought them all into Miro, which is a really solid web-based whiteboarding tool. I used it for my last Photobook to test layouts and pairings really quickly. It's kind of like having all your photos on post-it notes on a wall, and it's way more fun to experiment in that format. After an hour or so of playing around, I found an initial flow that I liked. Well, it's an initial flow without all the family stuff in between, so things will undoubtedly change once I throw those into the mix. I just spent some time going through my old negatives binder. I had already picked out quite a few sheets of 120 film that I've shot in the past, but I also know that I had quite a few rolls of 35 shot while we were at the chalet at some point in the past, and there was a lot more of the family-oriented stuff on those rolls as well. So yeah, I just went through and picked out a handful of selections. So I'm gonna continue doing that, and then we can start bringing it into Affinity Designer and do a proper layout. So we'll see how this goes. Instead of going over each photo in the book, I wanted to pick a few of my favorites. If you want to see the full book, you can check the description for a link to the PDF. Most of these I chose because of their complementary compositions, and well, the drone shot is one that I have been thinking about for the last 5 years, which was featured in part 1 of the video, and I'm super excited to see it in print. I also really love this fall shot. The colors together are absolutely incredible, as well as this one of our family members working in the yard together. It feels so cinematic to me. I'm really happy I got to capture a summer version of the lake view from the chalet to complement the autumn version I had captured a few years ago. There aren't many before and after photos in the book, but this one is great. For a while we thought it was actually going to be a restaurant called Chez Karen, only to find out it was used as a fake exterior for a diner in a Quebec police thriller TV series. I think one of the things that I like to look for when building a photo book personally is opposing compositions. And I think this pairing here is a really good example of that, where you have the leaves on the left-hand image coming out from the right side of the frame and the leaves on the right-hand image coming from the left side of the frame. It almost makes it seem like there's a tree in the center of the page that's sprouting out the leaves in both of the frames. Something else I wanted to experiment with this photo book is layered spreads. There's something really interesting about having one photo overlaid on top of another that are related in subject and tone. Honestly, when building a photo book, a lot of it has to do with gut, in my opinion, and just what feels right in the flow and the layout. What I choose may not be what you choose as well. A lot of it is really just what feels like it makes sense to come next. One thing that I think is really important for a photo book is having a theme in mind or a narrative structure to it. The story arc for this photo book was actually pretty clear for me from the beginning, and I mentioned it in part one, which is showing up to the chalet, seeing the chalet, family stuff, the area, and then kind of leaving. And I think it comes through, and at least I hope it does. I think my partner will be a good judge of that as well. I think this layout is pretty much done. I just need to get some feedback on it, get the poem from my partner, finish the cover, and then I think we're pretty much good to go to print, which is super exciting. I was just in the process of putting together the cover. I feel really dumb admitting this, but the layout for it was absolutely breaking my fucking brain. The templates that I got from the place that I'm getting them printed had back cover, spine, front cover. And I kept putting the front cover on the left side because the image I wanted to use was left weighted, where the chalet would be on the left side and then the rest of the trees and stuff would be on the right side. And in my head, this made sense because, well, you open a book, you read it left to right. But it took me like probably 20 minutes of just sitting here, banging my head against the wall as to why when I upload it, the centering and weighting felt really off. I think this will make it clearer. Left to right is back to front. Yeah, I know. Dumb. Makes sense. I feel really stupid not understanding why it wasn't working until I sat down and went, oh shit, yeah, it's because of that. I really wanted to use this image, but because it was very left-weighted, the chalet on the left that kind of broke off into trees, I thought, well, you know what? I'm just gonna flip it. But then there were two clues in the photo that showed that I flipped it, which was the license plate of the car and the number for the chalet itself. So I just went in really close, marqueed out both of those things, flipped them, then softly masked out the edges so they blended in a bit better, and you really can't tell. Now that's sorted, which is excellent. It's pretty much ready for print. I'm debating how many copies I want to do. I kind of like the idea of having a little bit more than necessary just in case I want to give them to other people, or, you know, I have friends who often tell me, oh, I like your work, whatever. Now I can just be like, here's a photo book that I made. So yeah, maybe I'll do that, maybe I won't. Still to be determined. I don't know how to make it transition into the next thing because I don't know what the next thing is. So yeah, anyway, that's where we're at for now. Talk later. All right, so the book has officially been ordered. I'm super excited. We did a couple of small rounds of revisions. It should be here August 22nd, which is in a couple of weeks. And I'm really excited to get it and hold it and flip through it and show you all how it turned out as well, which will be wonderful. And yeah, now I can make the public version of this as well, which will be the same as the one that I printed, but without family and friend faces, just so that there's no potential doxing or whatever. I just want to make sure that the people in my life are comfortable with the fact that I will get consent if they are featured in a video. I'm excited, a couple weeks away, and then we get to hold it and see the fruits of my labor. I really wasn't expecting this. It's a Saturday, but the books are here. They just showed up. I'm gonna open these up now and we'll take our first look at them together, which is super exciting. I hold in my hand the final book. I can't believe it's actually here. Wasn't expecting it to come in on a Saturday. This is awesome. Super excited to crack this open and look at it and make sure all the photos came out okay and then give them to the family. Oh yeah. Oh, this came out really well. Look at that. Yeah, that looks great. Awesome. We did it. It's done. I'm super happy with how this turned out, and I really can't wait to give these to the family to see what their reactions are like. I think it'll go down well. At least I hope so anyway. That's all that's left to do. Thank you for coming along with me on this journey, and As I said before, a link to the full PDF will be down below in the description with faces blurred out. And yeah, let me know which pairings are your favorite. It's a couple days after I gave my in-laws the photo book. Now, I didn't film their reactions. I know, bad YouTuber, but it wasn't really a good setting to film them. We were out for dinner for my mother-in-law's birthday. It was a more personal, intimate moment, and it just didn't feel right to ask to film this for me. It was her day. We're there to celebrate her, spend time with her, and this was a gift for them. So I didn't ask for permission. I just said, fuck it. I'll be a bad YouTuber and not have the content for me, but keep the privacy of my family intact. I know it sucks because now there's no proof of this reaction and there's no emotional climax at the end of this video, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. The in-laws and my brother and sister-in-law received their book and really appreciated it. They were holding back tears. There was a lot of emotion there. A part of me is a little sad that I didn't capture it on video, but that's the selfish part of me. That's the part of me that wants to be able to tell a good story for myself from my perspective. And reflecting on it a bit more, I almost feel like this is a sweeter ending to it all. Something that still retains a bit of that privacy and a bit of that respect and allows them to have their moment with it too. Yeah, I know, it's just a photo book and it's a very personal story, I think, for me and for us. And maybe people will resonate with this, maybe they won't. All this to say, this chapter is now closed. The book has been given. Everything that had to be done was done. So thank you for watching this video and still coming along on the journey with me of putting it together, of taking the photos. You can click the I up here and it'll take you back to part 1 if you haven't seen it. As always, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, feel free to subscribe. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. And yeah, as always, I'd love to know what kind of adventures or projects you're working on. So leave a comment below and don't forget to tell me which pairings are your favorite. So I'll see you in the next one.